we're going to have a look at making up a sewing machine zipper purse. Cute little project, quite fun to do, got some really good learning in it, and it's fully lined with a zipper, etc. Comes in 4 sizes, 4x4, 5x5, 6x6, 7x7, and has a D-ring at the top left-hand corner, which you can attach a wrist strap onto or something, and that is attached within the seam by either a piece of cotton tape or ribbon, or we have shown us making a strip of fabric to create the loop on pages 3 and 4 of the notes. So we don't actually show that in the video, but it just appears magically. We just tape it into position while we're putting the first lot of lining onto this project. Quite a nice project to actually do a zipper little bag. It's very, very simple. It's the way we always do these, and quite magically it turns out after 2 turns to be a very simple way of making this fully lined within the hoop. We need to put some stabilizer in the hoop, and we've used a tearaway. Tearaway is good when you're doing zippers because you need to actually create an opening to actually get to the back of the zipper to turn the job through. If you were going to use a cutaway, you'd need to cut the window behind the zip before you got too far into the project so as that you could turn the job through at the end. Otherwise you will not be able to turn it out. It will just look like it can't be done. So a tearaway is advised. Where if you do want to use a cutaway, then please do, but look at when we turn this through in the video and you'll see what I'm talking about as far as having to turn it through the zip at the very last. So we have put the stabilizer in the hoop. We have also pinned our stabilizer around the edge of the hoop so that it will not shift, because there's a bit of toing and froing taking the hoop out of the machine. The pins stop the stabilizer from shifting within the hoop. It's just another layer of security. So first of all, we actually place the placement line for the zipper actually on the stabilizer. These are just 3 rows of stitching, which we put our zipper central in between these with the teeth laying over the center line. And we're going to tape this on with some washi tape to hold it quite secure into position so as we can actually stitch the zip to the stabilizer. Keep the zip puller on the left-hand side. The zip is closed. Let's remove our washi tape. Don't be too aggressive. We don't want to rip the stabilizer. We want to keep it quite firm. Taking the top section of the zipper on the outside, we've got a piece of fabric which we're going to be ironing so it's wrong size together, and we're going to place a piece of stabilizer, either cutaway or tearaway, inside just to give it some sort of a little bit of fortitude and stiffness so as it will sit quite nicely when it's been stitched. We place the folded edge to the center of the zip teeth, and with some washi tape hold it in position so as we can stitch it to the stabilizer. So that's the first side of the zip. So it's creating a slotted zip, so the folded edges of the zip fold together in the middle, so it's called a slot, and the lower section fold it over 1/2 inch. Press that seam so that's wrong side up there, so we press that over to the wrong side. Then we're going to slip a piece of batting inside that seam that we've just turned over, with the right side facing us now, and then we're going to place this onto our hoop with that folded edge butted up to the zip edge which we've just done. Put the washi tape on, hold it in position, and it's going to sew out the silhouette of the actual sewing machine. We can pull our washi tape off. Okay, and we're going to trim around the edge of this piece of white fabric with our curved blade applique scissors, leaving the seam allowances on the sides in the seam allowance. Don't trim those back, just leave those seam allowances in. Stitch out the placement line for our next piece of fabric to go on to, which will be the harp of the machine. And we're going to trim this back as well, but we're going to leave the end of the hoop seam allowance. We're going to leave that in the seam allowance. Make sure that we leave that there. Don't cut it off. And another placement line for the base of the sewing machine. Stitch that on. And we just need to cut the top of this off, leaving the seam allowances. We've added one more section at the bottom there, which was white, and we're adding our little windows, which is double fabric for both the needle plate and the little screen. We use double fabric so as that if we have a dark fabric underneath, it will not show through. We've just put some white underneath this yellow, just to give it a little bit more intensive colour, because those grey little flowers would show through to a lighter fabric. So that's what we block it with another piece of fabric, usually this either the same colour or white. Doing our dots just down on our buttons there, and now we're doing the indication or suggestion of the threading slots on the sewing machine where the take-up lever is. Very simplistic. And we're going to do the push button pad on the machine. Quite fun. And once we've completed that, we're going to do our satin stitch around the silhouette outline of the actual sewing machine. We've fast forwarded this, but the best satin stitches are done slowly, so reduce your speed. Right, turning your work over, we've got the first piece of lining, which will line out the front panel, and a folded edge up to the middle line of where our zipper was, where we had our zip teeth, and it's going to stitch that into place all the way down. Now we're going to change our bobbin. We're going to change it so as it matches our needle thread, because we're going to do some lace filigree around the top of this. Just both edges of the zip's going to have a little bit of lace filigree, and it's better that you actually have a matching bobbin when doing this particular sort of work with the stitch in there, so as you don't get any bobbin thread coming through, especially if you're using a darker version of this, because you don't want to see any little picks of bobbin thread coming through. There we go. Don't forget to change your bobbin back. So we open the zip up, put the zip runner, lay it down flat, and put a little bit of washi tape over those seams to hold those zip welts down, so as when we stitch over them they don't get caught on the foot. And there goes our little D-ring, which we've made up previously through our notes. That's optional. And this is going to be our next backing piece of lining and batting. Now we've split this into two sections. What's showing you in the video here is that we've just put it together, both the lining piece of fabric and the batting, all in one go using a triple stitch. We have decided to actually split this up in the actual design. So this will go on with just a normal straight stitch, and then once you're happy with its placement and it's nice and firm and in position, you'll actually triple stitch it again. So it's set up into being two stages, or rather than just one. Then we're placing finally on the back the last piece of lining. So on the back of the work, in position very firmly with washi tape, and stitching out the shape. So this will give us the curved corners. Okay, there we go. Let's take our pins out. Sometimes you lose your washi tape actually on the bed of the machine. Let's pull out our tearaway. Using a tearaway definitely makes your seam allowance a little bit finer. And trim back our seam allowances back to 1/4 of an inch. Except for at the bottom, where it's 1/2 an inch and then then 1/4 of an inch, and you'll see this in a minute, where we have a little opening which we leave 1/2 inch and then 1/4 inch, and we just trim off our corners. Just clip into our seam to turn that through. You can roll it with a bit of steam between your fingers. Take out any unnecessary bulk like that batting, and you've got another little piece of batting there. Now, try and I like rolling that up because it just makes it a little bit more pliable. Turn it through first. This is what we call our first turn. Turn it through. Just take your time, be gentle. So the bag is now inside out. And we've got a chopstick. Everyone uses a chopstick, so we call it the communal chopstick. And we're going to, now this is where the zipper is, and we're going to pull that piece of stabilizer, that's this tearaway, out behind the zipper. Now, if you were going to be using a cutaway, you need to cut that out. Let's give that a bit of a press. And turn in this edge, and that edge is going to be hand sewn. It's going to be hand sewn together. Just catching the lining edge to the stitches. There we go. Then the final turn, which is through the zip. So we're turning it to the right side again. Fun, quick, easy, and addictive. Great little project, fun to do, and very quick. Hope you've enjoyed it.